It is 6:01 p.m. and we will officially begin. Roll call for attendance. Mayor Garcia. Ms. Brunel, I am here. Ms. Lefebvre.
Present.
Mr. Romero. Ms. Tensley Williams.
Present.
Dr. Rivera Colon. Dr. Caballero.
Presente.
Mr. Willihan.
Here.
Mr. Collimore.
Here.
Ms. Wilson.
Present.
And our two student reps are here with us this evening as well. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, excuse me while I have to go over some brief housekeeping. On March 29, 2023, Governor Healy signed into law an act relative to extending certain state of emergency accommodations, which, among other things, extends the expiration of provisions pertaining to the open meeting law to March 31st, 2025. Specifically, this extension allows public boards to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the public body physically present at any meeting location and to provide adequate alternative access to remote meetings. The act does not make any new changes to the open meeting law other than extending its expiration date to March 31st, 2025. A notice is hereby given to all members present that this meeting is being audio and video recorded. All right, so this evening we will be starting with our student showcase. I'm excited to bring forward the principal at Kelly School, Mr. Aaron Morris.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we have with us students from our 3 dual language pre-K classes, led by our 3 dual language pre-K teachers who are new to us through rezoning, yet seem like they've been part of Kelly School forever. So I'm going to turn it right over to them because my friends are getting antsy and Kelly School rolls pretty deep.
Right, here it comes.
Tengo un cuerpo y lo voy a mover, lo voy a mover, lo voy a mover. tengo un cuerpo y lo voy a mover. ¿Sabes qué? La otra mano, mueve las manos y muévelo así. Todo hay el otro todo, mueve todo y muévete así. Yo tengo un cuerpo y lo voy a mover, lo voy a mover, lo voy a mover. Yo tengo un cuerpo y lo voy a mover. Hasta los pies, hasta el hombro, el otro hombro, tus hombros y muévete así. La cabeza, ay, la cabeza, mueve tu cabeza y muévete así. Yo tengo un cuerpo y lo voy a mover, lo voy a mover, lo voy a mover. Yo tengo un cuerpo y lo voy a mover. Hasta los pies, la rodilla, ay, la rodilla, mueve tus rodillas y muévete así. La cintura, ay, la cintura, mueve la cintura y muévete así.
Y
Y
lo
ahora,
voy a mover, lo voy a mover,
tu
lo
cuerpo
voy a mover.
vas a mover. Y ahora, prepárate. Tu cuerpo vas a mover. Y muévelo, 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 muévelo. Y bájalo, 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 bájalo así. Y súbelo, 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 súbelo. Y muévete, 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 muévete así, así. Así, así, así. Yo tengo un cuerpo y lo voy a mover, lo voy a mover, lo voy a mover. Yo tengo un cuerpo y lo voy a mover.
Yo tengo un cuerpo y lo voy a mover.
Tengo un cuerpo y lo voy a mover, lo voy a mover, lo voy a mover. Yo tengo un cuerpo y lo voy a
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I got it good, I got it good. I sent it to you. You were great. You guys did a good job, guys.
What's wrong with you? You have late short?
Past their bedtime. Oh my goodness.
It's nap time.
When you invite Kelly School, remember we roll it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
All right. Well, I would just like to thank all of the guests that came. It's so great to see the wonderful turnout from Kelly School this evening. Thank you all so much. And if anybody has any comments, seeing none, we'll move right along. So, student reports, Holyoke High School North. Oh, I'm so sorry. I apologize. We're not done with student showcase yet. Give me 1 second.
Have a couple more.
You want me to? Yep.
If we just if you push back.
So also in Student Showcase this evening, we have some Pioneer Valley Excellence in Teacher Award winners that I wanted to turn it over Mr. Soto to recognize. Mr. Soto?
Yeah, so every year we get the opportunity to recognize and nominate 6 teachers in the district. One of them, a new teacher, which within their first 2 years of teaching. And I really just wanted to take yet another opportunity to recognize them publicly. I'm gonna say all of their names first, and then it looks like we have 3 of them here today. I'm gonna read what the nomination said about them. So at Holyoke High School North, we have Sheila Fallon here, and what they wrote about Sheila Fallon is that in education we talk about the irreplaceables for a school. Sheila Fallon is an irreplaceable at Holyoke High School North Campus. Sheila gets so much done in one day. I would swear that she has truly figured out how to clone herself, and there are 2 Sheila Fallons working at Holyoke High School. Sheila truly cares about her students and works to know each student for who they are as an individual so that they feel like they are seen and like they belong. This is what helps her students to be successful in her class and take academic risks. Sheila can be seen cheering on every sports team, walking in the halls during her prep to see if her students are making the right choices, narrating the howls in her classroom to support students as they learn to become independent learners, and giving students specific feedback to improve their work, to grow as learners, and to meet high expectations she has set for them. Sheila has been the supervising practitioner for 3 of the English teachers on our faculty, and you can see the strong practices she uses in her classes. Not only does she participate in and implement the learning for professional development, she has led some professional development, and she leads her grade level content team with weekly planning and data meetings. Sheila loves her students. It can be seen in everything she does. Our students are lucky to have her as their teacher, and her colleagues are lucky to have her as a colleague. Sheila Fallon epitomizes excellence. So I just want to say thank you, Sheila, and congratulations. I also have here from Cheryl Coakley Rivera. She actually laminated an article that came out and recognized you. So I just wanted to give that to you. And we were also able to recognize them at a dinner at the log cabin about a week or 2 weeks ago. It was a very nice ceremony. So anytime we have the opportunity to show off our staff, we do. And next we have Marilee Vega, who is at Sullivan. And Marilee Vega is a transformational teacher, and we are very fortunate to be able to work with and learn from her every day. Ms. Vega teaches both our sixth grade Spanish language arts classes and our heritage language classes. She has demonstrated on a daily basis what is possible in our school and in our district. Ms. Vega holds the highest of expectations for students, is a loyal, trustworthy colleague, and a dedicated partner to the families that she serves. She is well deserving of this award, and her whole team is excited that she is receiving this recognition. So congratulations, Medley.
You tilted it out.
And our third one is Nicole Fisher at Donahue, who's a big part of the leadership team over there. I'm writing to enthusiastically nominate Nicole Fisher, an exceptional elementary school teacher, for the Pioneer Valley Excellence in Teaching Award. Ms. Fisher has consistently demonstrated an unwavering commitment to student success, a collaborative spirit with fellow educators, and an exceptional ability to leverage data to inform instructional practices. Ms. Fisher has shown an exemplary dedication to utilizing data-driven approaches in her teaching and coaching methods. She consistently analyzes student performance data to identify areas of improvement and supports teachers in tailoring their lesson plans accordingly. By leveraging this information, she ensures that each student receives a personalized learning experience, fostering academic growth and achievement. One of Ms. Fisher's outstanding qualities is her collaborative nature. She actively engages with fellow teachers and shares insights, strategies, and resources. Her willingness to collaborate has created a positive and supportive environment within the school, where teachers work together to enhance the overall educational experience for students. In addition to her focus on individual students' success, Ms. Fisher has also demonstrated a remarkable ability to create multiple plans and strategies to help educators address diverse needs, whether it's differentiated instruction, targeted interventions, or enrichment activities. She is known for creating trackers. I've seen a lot of those trackers to keep everyone organized. The versatility has had a significant impact on the overall academic performance of all students at Donahue. Thank you for considering this nomination. I'm confident Ms. Fisher will continue to make significant contributions to the Holyoke Public School community. Congratulations, Ms. Fisher. So I'm not going to, I don't believe we have any of the other award winners here, but I just wanted to give them a shout out. We have Christine Lopez at Metcalf. We have Suzanne Plantonitis at McMahon. And we have Amber Dutton at Morgan. So those were the other recipients, and they weren't able to attend today. But I just wanted to publicly recognize them for this achievement.
Yeah. Yep. Does anybody have any comments for the teachers before they exit? Miss Wilson?
So I know you're trying to get out of there so you can do some lesson planning, correcting papers, etc., getting all that stuff. But thank you so much for your dedication to our students. It really is a wonderful thing that you give your all every day, and it's nice to be recognized for what you do. It really is. So congratulations.
Dr. Caballero?
Yes. Second, what Ms. Wilson said. Well, congratulations. Well deserved. Hard work. Keep it up. It's not easy, but that's why we all appreciate what you've done and continue to do. Thank you so much for your work. Thanks. Thanks.
Miss Tinsley Williams?
I'm just going to piggyback a minute. You guys are awesome, and thank you so much. The work is very hard, and I promise you I will be saying a prayer for you. Okay. Welcome.
Mr. Collymore, did you have something to say? Okay.
On behalf of all of us here in the school board, thank you very, very much for everything you do for our children in Holyoke. And we appreciate it probably more than you do on how much we appreciate what comes out of these students when they graduate from kindergarten all the way through our high schools. We appreciate everything you teachers do for us. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We appreciate you, especially Miss Fallon, my daughter's freshman English teacher. Shout out. All right, great. And then we have one more thing on Student Showcase, Questbridge College Prep Scholarship.
Yeah, if I may have
Please.
Steve come up and talk about the scholarship. Unfortunately, Michael Melendez wasn't able to attend today, and Anna Regali, but Steve can talk about this particular student showcase.
Yeah, we Questbridge is a scholarship program that actually recognizes students when they are juniors in high school. The idea is that they become part of a cohort of students. It's a national program, and they become part of a cohort of students. They're connected nationally, but they're also connected locally. These students get a really rich kind of introduction to the opportunities that are available to students who have excellent academic records as they enter their senior year and then through their senior year. So Anna Regali, who is our college and career counselor at the North Campus, has been working with Questbridge for the last 5-6 years. Michael is the first Holyoke High student to receive this scholarship since Anna's been trying to get that. He will participate in a summer program of enrichment and rigorous academics, and then throughout the school year, he'll continue to do both academic programs and get enriched, robust college counseling. Questbridge scholars are colleges look to Questbridge scholars. They're almost like draft picks. These are exactly the kinds of students that colleges and universities want to have on their campus. The other really great thing about Questbridge is that it stays with students through their college year. So it's not just about getting into, but it's about getting through. And so Michael is that nominee. He is an amazing kid. I'm sitting down with him next week to get a sense of what direction he's looking to go in, and that's Questbridge.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mahoney. Miss Wilson?
Sorry.
No, please don't ever apologize.
What's the process to become, to be recommended? What things did, Mr. Melendez have to achieve in order to be recommended to this?
You're nominated, and then you're invited to apply. Mm-hmm. So there's nomination, and then you're invited to apply, and then you go through a written application process and an interview process. So it's a pretty.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? All right, well, thank you so much, and our extended congratulations to the recipient and to Ms. Regali for her efforts. All right, so now for student reports, we'll have our Holyoke High School North Campus student first.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Rodriguez, the Holyoke High School representative on the school committee. Last Monday, we hosted our first Student Family Summit. It was an opportunity to connect with and hear from students and families around some of the key work we were doing in Holyoke High. We focused on what makes students feel like they belong, what can adults do to build learning partnerships with students and families, and how can adults support students and families inside and outside of the classroom. Last Friday, senior Morgan Murphy represented Holyoke High School at the District Attorney's Youth Advisory Board end of year celebration. That's a mouthful. Morgan has been working on the Healthier Relationships project this year with student reps from other schools. On Friday, we had an early college graduation for the students who completed the early college program while at Holyoke High School. Early college is an opportunity for students to earn college credits while in high school. Students have taken classes at HEC, Westfield State University, and Bay Path University. Also last Friday night was the annual Ethnic Studies Block Party. It is an opportunity to come together as a community and play games, listen to music, eat food, and participate in the open mic. Last Saturday, 20 students from the North Campus went to UMass for a celebration for earning the Seal of Biliteracy. This is earned by students taking a test to demonstrate literacy skills in at least 2 languages. The Holyoke Roots Restorative Practice Team has been partnering with Morgan School to teach restorative practices there. They have supported the school by facilitating circles and mediations. Seniors are presenting their senior capstone projects on Tuesday the 14th and Thursday the 16th. The projects represent the culmination of a student's high school journey. Students in the Community and Global Studies, Engineering and Life Sciences Academies, and the Performing and Media Arts Academies will be showcasing their Academy-aligned projects to students, faculty, and community partners in our small gym and band room. We have lots of activities coming up to celebrate the class of 2024. On Wednesday, the seniors will take on the faculty and staff in the annual senior versus staff basketball game. Senior finals will begin soon, followed by the prom, class day, and their graduation. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Any comments, folks? Seeing none? Mr. Kennedy?
All right. I have a lot of dates here. Some of them are repeats from previous meetings, but I do have a lot of dates, so if you need me to repeat any of them, I will at the end. First things first, on May 11th, our students who participated and passed the Seal of Biliteracy were celebrated at UMass. We are very proud of the result, and it is important to celebrate the students who accomplished this amazing and vital goal. We have 6 students who have earned the seal. On April 11th, one of our seniors, Natalie Cologne, was celebrated in the Worcester area for Vocational Student of the Year. She has an MC Girls in Trade and has been on co-op since her junior year. She represents Dean Tech's electrical program. I cannot speak tonight. On May 21st and 22nd, our sophomores will be taking their Math MCAS. Grades 9, 11, and 12 will have a delayed start to their day. This week, our seniors are taking their shop finals, both in theory, which is their written and classwork exams, as well as hands-on projects. And on May 18th, we are hosting our annual Dean Tech Car Show. Competing cars are rolling in at 9 a.m. From 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Our festivities begin at 11 and end at 3, with trophies such as Best Honda, Best Toyota, Best Audio System, Best Class, and I have the Best in Show that I need to be careful with right here. And Miss Brunel over there has one of the gift bags that is given out to the car show participants. She will. Oh yes, and everyone gets a free air freshener.
Everybody gets their air freshener.
We currently have 3 food trucks for the event from surrounding communities such as Hartford and Springfield. And yes, a senior collage was created by the yearbook staff. I'm so sorry, Miss Wilson. Please pass this down too. Thank you. Tomorrow is senior night for 2 of our basketball team players, and boys volleyball is tomorrow night. Sorry, that was edited right now. So I will clarify that if you need me to. Just a friendly reminder, Class Day Award Ceremony is May 23rd, followed by prom at 5 p.m. at Wyckoff Country Club. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. So sorry. Going right back up to the car show. Everyone does have a flyer from the car show, both a hard copy and an email copy. Of course, I can get you another flyer if you need me to. Where was I? Right here. On May 28th, the seniors will be going to Brownstone Adventure Water Park. And on May 29th, the seniors are having their senior breakfast, receiving their yearbooks, and rehearsing their graduation. Following that, on May 29th, the National Technical Honor Society ceremony will begin at 3:30 p.m. here at Dean. May 30th is our graduation, beginning promptly at 5:30. And last but not least, on June 3rd, we will be hosting our student government elections for the school year 2024 and 2025, with the exception of 9th grade, which will be elected in October, because obviously they're not here yet. That is all.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Miss Rosalie Tensley Williams.
Again, I will donate 3 yearbooks to Dean and 3 to Holyoke High.
Thank you, Miss Williams.
Welcome.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Always helpful to have your information. You guys can email me that ahead of time too if you want, and I can share it with the committee. If you ever feel like the dates are a lot to read off, we can share it that way too. All right, so vice chair reports. Okay, so attached in your packet is quite a bit of information. Oh, let me just recognize Mayor Garcia just texted me. He has joined us online. And Mr. Romero, it looks like, has joined us online as well. I don't know if the mayor needs to be promoted. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so as discussed in our retreat earlier this year, we need to adopt new rules and protocols for the organizational purposes of the school committee. So attached in your packet is MASC protocols and procedures, a couple examples of what other communities have adopted for their rules and procedures. And then it was suggested that we start to review our operating policies. So with that being said, if we want to jump in to the MASC, I don't really feel like I need to read through this specifically. But basically what I'm looking for here is we need to dedicate some time to go through these and to adopt rules as a committee for our governance. So we can either do that and start the discussion now and discuss these in open meetings. We can refer it to policy. We can schedule a retreat. We can do whatever we as a body feel like we need to do, but I want to establish like a timeline that we want to accomplish these by to get these policies updated and procedural goals accomplished. Ms. LaFave.
For me, I think it's better if we do it in a retreat style. Again, this is the operational duties of the school committee. And we want to make sure that we put in anything and everything that specifically we do and what we are going to do, because you got to look beyond. I think we really need to make sure that the positions of chair and vice chair and what their roles and responsibilities are really detailed in our operational policies. I know there's a history of what we do. The vice chair is the one that runs the meeting, sets the agenda, is the one that speaks, to the media. They're the ones that kind of guide it for the committee. The problem is that it's not really written, but it was something that has been going on for many years. Maybe it has, and unfortunately we can't retrieve those meeting minutes. But this is it. Well, if Mr. Colmar, I'm sure is aware of, because that was quite the time frame. But it's not something that was within our time. I've been here 10 years. It was way past that. So, with that being said, I think it's really important that a retreat should be scheduled, because this is to sit here during a regular school committee to address each one and make sure that we're addressing everything and making any recommendations to change it, that could be very time consuming because everybody's going to want to share something about it. When right now, what we need to be focusing on at our school committee meetings is our students and their educational achievement, and what we need to do to move our district forward and make sure that our students are succeeding.
Yeah. To second that, Ms. LaFave, I remember when we were reviewing these in the late of last year, and the policy that talks about the role of the chair, it all specifically says chair, and we use a vice chair. So I had called it out then that even just simply that language needed to be changed because we don't operate that way. So I couldn't agree more. I think I saw Mr. Willihan's hand.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a good idea. Just, back and forth is going to be interesting. Each community does it different. I know Springfield, the mayor is the chairman, and currently he runs the meetings, so as opposed to us, where our mayor's present. This mayor's present, and the vice chair runs it. So the dynamics can be different for each community. It's really, what fits best for us. That's what we're concerned with. I'm not really sometimes concerned about what other towns do. I'm concerned about us as a body. Going back to just adopting our rules of order, the Robert's Rules of Order. I've been on 8 years and we've never officially adopted those. Other communities, the Holyoke City Council, they adopt that each year. And there's other rules of order other rules that they could adopt too. Roberts is the most popular, but there's other ones too. So that's something that needs to be flushed out. Thank you.
Ms. Tinsley Williams.
I totally agree with Ms. LaFave. We all will have some input, so having a retreat would give us time, because this would take 3 or 4 days if we did it this way. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Wilson.
So if you look at Section B, which I think we're referring to, Section B has over 30 policies in that section where it defines, our role. And so, I'll be honest, I'm not even sure, the board governance, I'm not even sure we're going to be able to get through all 30 of them in one review, unless there's a lot of pre-work done from the standpoint of, looking at our policy, reviewing to see any significant changes that, using the MASC template, which is the Massachusetts Association for School Committees, because we generally use their template, and then, identifying, and then as a group, then we can move forward from that to discuss any additions per se, or any significant changes based upon how we currently operate. Again, once out of receivership, and then also how we plan on operating as well. So, I'm just in the few policies that you posted, that you shared for us to review for the meeting tonight. In my quick overview of the MASC templates, there is not significant changes, proposed language changes. So there hasn't been any legal, kind of updates that we need to make to them. But I think it's going to take time for us to really think through, and ensure that everything we do and what we want to do is going to be captured.
Yeah. At the mayor's request and Ms. LaFave's request, this was added to the agenda. And at the mayor's request, I think specifically we need to definitely get our procedural rules in place. He also sent me a copy of what the city council adopts annually for us to use as reference as well. But, definitely getting a retreat on board to get that scheduled. Yes, Ms. Wilson.
So for those people who were not at the meeting, the local control meeting, prior to this, I just want to give an update if I might.
Sure.
Because the work was done around policy. And so I just wanted to share that I did ask on behalf of our district that they fund a complete policy review. and I noted a vendor. They can't specify which vendor, but I did share that there was a cost that we as a district could not cover based upon our tight budget this year, and it wasn't planned on. And we did ask the state to support that cost with, and then they said they probably will be able to with a grant once they review things. Mr. Soto, if I might share, is giving the thumbs up. Relatively speaking, it's a nominal cost for reviewing over 350 policies that we have. One thing that we are going to be putting on the agenda is looking at which policies we want to, which sections we want to go through first, which ones we want to prioritize with their support. So, if it is approved, and once we have the money and we can enter agreement with a vendor for this, this might be the section that is led through the vendor, discussing and leading us not only what we currently do, but what we should be doing, and then us bringing it down to our local, focusing on our student outcomes, our teacher outcomes, and all of our constituents within our community.
Mr. Kennedy?
Oh, I was bringing attention to Mayor Garcia's hand.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Garcia?
Everybody else before me? I'm up.
You're up. Batter up.
Yeah, I was just gonna, you've heard about, I brought this up over again last year and this year, revisiting our rules. I think now couldn't be even more of a perfect timing to do exactly this. I know, a little bit of what Aaron shared. Yes, in the past, who knows when, the existing structure that we operate under just kind of happened that way, and it might have been a decision made at that time. Every year, there's new members on our board, and there's a new election time, and we do our reorganization, and we elect our vice chair. And I think every year we should be, at that time, adopting what it is, how we want to practice. And so it's so critical because it helps with how we want to govern ourselves in meetings, in different aspects of what's involved when you have rules as far as the governance of our meetings are concerned. But until then, the rules do say that the mayor is the chair and we got the vice chair. And it's helpful the way we operate currently, just because even today, we have the mayoral bike ride. I had to come to this meeting late. It's very helpful to have that vice chair dedicated. But until those rules change, here we go. It's going to be noted right here. This is and then we'll revisit again in January if rules are after election time if rules don't change then. But I am hereby delegating powers to the vice chair to help continue to manage these meetings, set the agenda, and govern accordingly as the way we've been doing it, just so that it's clear, everybody. But I know sometimes it just comes up, and even in conversations, Mary, you're the chair, or who's in. Well, that's why we need to get these rules in order. That way we can be sure that we're all on the same page. And again, since we're transitioning to local control, now couldn't be even more perfect to have that conversation. Do it in a retreat. Whatever the case, let's look at different examples, ones that we want to adopt, and make sure whatever we adopt doesn't conflict with charters. And then that way we can get to a point now where we're structured the way and operating under the structure as written in some policy format.
Yeah, agreed. I think we're talking about two things, right? So we're talking about reviewing the entire section B as far as school committee governance, and then we're also talking about procedural practices, right? And I think it's the procedural practices that we need to probably have a retreat for and work on in the near immediate future while we're engaging the vendor and looking at the overall district policies and going over, obviously all of section B. But for example, right now, we don't have a rule that says how many times each member gets to speak. Right? So those are the kinds of policy rules and procedures of how a meeting runs, not the governance of the board overall, but how a meeting runs. It's those policies, procedures, and rules that I think as a body we need to really firm down. So I will entertain motions for whatever you guys see fit, but I think a retreat should happen for the firming up of our policy procedure rules for the practices of a meeting. And then, of course, as Ms. Wilson said, we're looking to engage an outside vendor to do further in-depth policy review. So I think it's kind of two things, but however the body feels is best to proceed. Whoever would like to speak first. Ms. Williams? Sure, you certainly may.
A motion that we, at the retreat, go over the B sections. There's quite a few of them.
Do I have a second?
Was that the procedural one or?
No, she's
There's a
her
bunch of
her her motion is to review the entire section B at a retreat. That is the motion on the floor.
We don't need them all, but one said B.
Oh, well, honey, B is like a very large section with multiple.
Well,
There are
school
over
committee
30.
member authority, we got committed legal status, we got a whole bunch.
Right. So,
Have them all here. So.
yeah,
I'll make a motion.
you
I'm sorry,
you
Ms. Lefebvre.
that's okay. There's do I have a second on the motion on the floor? No. Okay. Ms. Caballero, Dr. Caballero.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to have, time during a retreat to go over the procedural practice, format of
Okay.
policies that we need to.
Okay,
to
so the motion
review.
on the floor by Dr. Caballero is to have a school committee retreat for the purposes of establishing procedural policy rules for governance of the school committee meetings. Seconded by Ms. Tensley Williams. Any discussion? Mr. Collmore.
Is this going to be brought in sections, or are we going to start going before and bring in everything and try to solve these things?
The motion on the floor would be to solely have a retreat to just go over the procedural processes of how we want our meetings to run. So as I said, for an example, how many times does each person get to speak on a particular topic? Putting in writing for clarity that the vice chair assumes the roles of the chair for the purposes of MASC's description of the chair. So the policy, procedure, and practices of how our meetings are structured. For example, rules and regulations, adopting Robert's rules. So I'll share with you all, for example, what the city council adopts yearly. And so that is the motion on the floor, to simply focus on that. Miss Williams, I'm sorry, Miss Lefebvre. I was looking right at you.
That's okay. So I'm getting the part of the procedural practices, right? And so it could also mean like how many times somebody speaks, and then the deadlines. But it also goes to speak in regards to the role of the vice chair and the duties of power. So to me, you might have to include at least BDA, which school committee organizational meeting, which says when we have our organizational meeting, the voting of the vice chair, right? You might have to then look at the other sections of B that might fall into sort of your operational procedures, so that way, if we can bang at least those out, versus come up with an operational and then find out there's a policy as well, and now we got to amend that and change that. Might as well do all of that. Not going to be all of B, but let's pick the most important things that really define what we currently do, so that it's updated.
Mr. Willihan?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we can start just taking the city charter for one thing. Start there, take the city council rules and regulations, how they operate, just for reference, like I said. And, in terms of the rules on how many people speak and yada, yada, those are rules that have been adopted throughout the ages. I can use that term. We don't have to have those rules.
Right.
Those are added. Those are, they've thrown those in, term limits, on the vice chair. Do we have that? Yes or no? Does the charter specify it? Yes or no? So again, there's going to be a back and forth. The consultant that Mrs. Wilson talked about. There's two. The Collins Center they do this for a fee. The Donahue Institute, they do this for a fee. They'll take the city charter, the city rules, you know, and where do you want to go with that? You want to keep it simple? And sometimes the city council with their rules are like, whoa, so you might not want all those rules in there, so, just the body will kind of break that down.
Miss Wilson?
So when I look, and I think that I would like to stay, and I'm going to say with the motion as made, from just looking at procedural process. I believe that we're currently practicing a way that doesn't meet our policies, but the main one that we would look to change would be just one, and that would be BDB, school committee officers. That would be the only policy that speaks to the chair, the vice chair. When we're looking at, if we're so worried about that, that would be the one where we would, focus on. But again, if we're going to be, putting forth a robust review, I would hate for us to review it.
To review it again.
And then to review it again when we have the robust review. I would rather focus our time on our procedural process, and then move through our actual policies when it comes time. Because once again, we're acting in a way that's not in accordance with our policies, but then again, we are under receivership. So we're not following our policies anyway, based upon that.
Mr. Collmore?
I think we, first of all, find out, explain how this ever happened. Because one time, the mayor had nothing to do with the school committee whatsoever. We had our own chairman of the school committee. And when the mayor couldn't come to a meeting and speak, whatever, his or her opinion on a matter, because he wasn't recognized. He went to the state legislature, got a law passed that all the mayors of the Commonwealth shall be the chairman of the they passed it, passed the law, and then when it came back to us, now it was the law, who was going to run the meetings? And it was suggested by the chairman that it should be the president, or now it becomes the vice chairman of the school committee, shall run the meetings at all times, because the mayor, even today, doesn't have the time to put into organizing the school committee's agenda and everything else. So that's why at that time, we said the vice chairman shall now do the duties of the and run the meetings. So it's just part of history that we go back and let people know why we have a vice chairman of the school committee.
Ms. Fave, did you have something you wanted to add?
So I'm looking it up, and obviously it's section 31 of, I actually don't know, chapter 43, regarding the mayors. They're the ex officio chairman of the school committee, but not all cities or towns is the mayor even the chair. They're not even part of the school committee. So, for
I think
instance,
it's in the city charter, isn't it?
it's, yeah. So Southbridge, I know that they have a chairwoman, and it's a school committee member. They have their secretary, and their vice chair. There's other towns and cities that well, mainly towns, where it's a member of the school committee. It's not the mayor. I mean, this is off topic. It is what it is. We have our mayor, who is the chair. We have our vice chair, who we elected to be our representative, right, for the whole board. So with that being said, I mean, operational procedures, that's what we're going to talk about. But again, I'm just going to reiterate that even if it's that one is the one that's causing the most confusion as to who will be kind of like speaking up on certain things. Who is it that the media will be reaching out to? Who is our spokesperson on behalf of the school committee?
And just to point out too, though, even in reviewing BDB, this is the one that I mentioned because it says the duty of the chairperson, where we pass all that duty to the vice chair. But even just looking at this, so as example, it says enforce the committee's policies relating to the order of business and conduct of meetings. And we don't have currently set policy for the order of business in the conducting of meetings. And that's Josh's point is, we haven't been adopting rules for the order and governance of meetings since receivership. Because officially, we don't have legal voting rights, right? So, Ms. Wilson, did you want to add something?
Actually, no.
Okay. So, I'm not really sure the best way to go from here, but we do have a motion on the floor. The motion on the floor is to have a retreat for the purpose of doing the work to establish our operating rules and procedures for meetings. So on that motion, any further discussion?
A second.
We had a second, yes. So roll call on the motion. Mayor Garcia? You're muted, hun.
That includes everything Mildred was just referring to. Well, the both of you were referring to about being clear on the officers' positions, right?
Well, no. So technically, that would happen in an in-depth policy review. We're just trying to get the operations of the rules the city council adopts. It can be whatever the body feels like it needs to be. But for clarity purposes, the motion on the floor is for operational, the rules and regs of how a meeting is run, not necessarily all the other things, but we can add in other things, or we just wait and see that DESI confirms we're getting the money, reach out to the vendor, get that in-depth policy review scheduled, make sure that chapter or section B is the first thing that is done, and we sit down with them and we establish all of this all at once. But currently the motion on the floor is to have a retreat to go over the rules and regulations of governing a meeting.
That's fine. The only reason why I'm just bringing that up is we have to be clear on that. I know, and I've heard comments a couple times already about, this is what we adopted. We didn't adopt anything. This body didn't adopt. We just, new members come on and we don't know. We think that's the way it is. So we go with it and we're told the vice chair is the chair. No, our rules and policies here says clearly that the mayor is the chair until it changes otherwise. That's what it is now.
Where does it say that?
That the mayor is the chair of the committee?
Right. In the school committee policies, where does it say that?
Doesn't.
At the mayor's, it says it right there.
DBD says the duties of the chairperson. It doesn't say that the chairperson is the mayor.
Right.
So I think it's in the city charter versus the school committee policy.
So it's not.
So nowhere in school committee policy that I can find does it state that.
No.
So we need clarity. Maybe this needs to get referred to the joint meeting first so that we get clarity on the charter, right? Because it's not our job to know the city charter necessarily, right?
Our person got elected.
I'm sorry?
I mean, it says we we vote on a vice chair. It doesn't say we vote on a chair.
I don't know what the charter says. And I think it's the charter that dictates the duties that the mayor is the chair.
Yep, and we gotta, then to everything we're talking about, we just wanna clarify and confirm these things, but I know what the charter reads, and so until then, yeah, like, to say that this committee is adopting this because this is the way we've done it, because this happened 10 years ago, and I can't run with that. Right now, I'm looking at the policy and I go what the policy says. However, the mayor it's better to have that vice chair working side by side with the mayor, who is a chair under our current written structure. Because it keeps the continuity going, it keeps things flowing. But obviously, like, at some point we need to just kind of make sure that's clear in writing and as far as the delegation of power, so that we know where things stand. But I'm a yes vote.
Okay. I see hands, but we had already ended discussion and gone to the vote, so I have to take the vote. If you'd like to vote no, then you can make a new motion as opposed to continuing discussion. Okay. I'm going to vote no. Ms. LaFave.
No.
Ms. Tinsley Williams.
Abstain.
Sure, you can abstain if you'd like. Sure. Dr. Caballero.
Yes.
Mr. Willihan.
Yes.
Mr. Collimore.
No.
Miss Wilson.
Yes.
So I think the yeses carry 4 yeses, 3 noes, 1 abstain. Oh, I'm sorry. Is Gustavo still on?
Yes.
Mr. Romero.
I'm gonna vote abstained.
So I count 4 yeses, 3 noes, and 2 abstain. Is that correct?
On 1,
3, 4,
2,
5, 6.
3,
It's a simple majority.
4 yeses.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a simple majority.
4 yeses.
Okay. So the motion carries on 4 yeses. So I will work with, I'm sorry, Mr. Collimore, just a moment. I will work with the chair of policy to discuss this a little further, and then reach out to you all to discuss a retreat. Now, keeping in mind this retreat doesn't have a timeline on it. So if we decide that it should wait till we contact our vendor, then so be it. Okay. Mr. Collimore.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but under the Robert, cannot abstain without giving a reason.
Well, we have not officially adopted Robert's Rules of Order as the functioning process for the committee.
That's why we need.
We have adopted.
We have not, as of this calendar year, Mr. Collimore. We have not adopted officially Robert's Rules of Procedures in about 9 years. And that's the point of this conversation. No, continue, please.
Yeah, but every single policy we have right now written stays in effect until we change it.
Correct.
So it hasn't been changed that you must give a reason for abstaining.
Can you show me which policy it states that you have to? Or show me which policy it states that we've officially adopted Robert's Rules?
No, I can't give it to you right now.
Then I'm sorry we can't enforce it if we can't find the information. I will happily come back to you because I think some others have some opinions on the discussion.
I know that, I understand that, but then every single policy that we presently have, you're allowing people to abstain without the permission of.
I don't understand, for clarity purpose, exactly what you're saying. I'm not allowing people to abstain. I don't really know what to say to that comment, so we'll just move on. Mr. Willihan?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Mr. Collimore, I know the city council has, they take a vote every year. They take a vote, operate under the rules of Robert's Rules. We have not done that. Okay, the 8 years I've been here, we have not done that. Okay, that's a fact. Okay, that doesn't mean we're not following our policies. Policies are in you know, the good book. Okay, the way we run the meetings has nothing to do with the policies. Okay, the way we run the meetings. It's a good example. Mr. Collimer said, you know, the city council, you have to give a reason to abstain, or walk out of the room and not be present. Okay, so I agree with that. There are reasons to abstain, you know, but you should be making that, you know, that statement. You have a personal conflict, okay, or you know, you weren't there for that meeting. I've seen other communities where they do abstain without giving a reason. So I'm not sure what rules they're operating on. So again, it goes back to the rules, the rules of the body, which is different than the policies.
Ms. LaFave, was your hand up?
You know what? I think we need to move from this. This is
Ms. Wilson, you're good. Mr. Collimore, and then we're gonna move on, okay?
Yeah. Whenever we have this, whatever, please get a copy of not the charter, the state laws.
I have the book. Actually, there's one right there.
State laws that passed this law that the mayor brought before the state legislature, and they passed it.
Okay.
And it should, in the whatever they passed, should have a spelling of everything that has to be done.
Okay. Duly noted. Thank you so much. All right, folks, moving along. Excuse me while I get my agenda screen back up. Okay. Superintendent/receiver reports, update on early literacy in K2 curriculum adoption.
Thank you. And I am going to ask Rebecca Thompson and Caitlin Rosaza.
Low rider there. Yeah.
Just going to share my screen. And my screen is this guy right here. I was going to ask for support from my tech director over there, but I got it. So I wanted to take this opportunity to share an update on our early literacy efforts. I think one of the things that has come through loud and clear throughout this local control process is the theme of school committee making sure they're supporting the strategic priorities, the strategic plan, and they're supporting any efforts that are about getting better results for our students. And I have here a list of all of our priorities: early literacy, learning experiences, inclusion, whole child, and educator development. I think we have spent the large portion of the last 3 years on these top two ones, early literacy and learning experiences. I think we made a pretty significant effort this year to really focus on inclusion, although we had the staffing challenges that have presented themselves have not allowed us to carry out that, our vision for inclusion as we had expected. And I feel like a lot of our focus is shifting in the coming year to these bottom two, educator development and whole child. You guys all seen the recommendations from the teacher retention work group, and a large portion of that is higher quality professional development that respects their tenure and differentiates and makes it more meaningful to them. So, but I can't think of any priority that's more important than early literacy. We went to go see the Peck building the other day, and the construction of the Peck building, and you saw basically all the footings and the I think it's rebar that supports the concrete. It doesn't look impressive at all, right? But it's the foundation. Without that, there is no building. We like to see the nice paint and the nice, beautiful lighting, and then all the like bells and whistles that come with it. But when I saw that foundation, I really thought of our priorities in early literacy, and we're not going to see, the results right away. We're not, but it's so important that we build that foundation that kids get to read by the time they're in third grade. Everything else is going to be very, very hard to accomplish if we don't get this right. So I'm really happy that we named this as part of our strategic plan. I'm really happy that we had, an amazing person that helped lift it with Rebecca called Kina, and I'm so appreciative that we were able to find somebody to really take the lead in this work. And Caitlin has just been doing a phenomenal job. She presented at one of our retreats, and she's just been doing incredible. We're so lucky that we were able to replace somebody who was amazing with somebody who is just as amazing, and she's doing some great work. I wanted to start with some celebrations in addition to being able to find Caitlin and have her jump in and hit the ground running and really take the bull by the horn and help us with this very important work. We've already been able to, all of our K2 teachers, including our ELD and special education teachers and reading interventionists, have already completed year 2 of HIL, which is the 10 Science of Reading learning modules. Our STAR data shows a 22% increase in district-wide students that are above benchmark. So beginning of the year, we were at 19%, and we jumped all the way up to 41% in the middle of the year. Our K2 STAR data also shows a 18-point decrease in students in urgent intervention. So we have less students that are in urgent intervention within the K2 grade band. We were at about 40% of our students at the beginning of the year, and in the middle of the year, we're down to 22%. The quarter 3 early lit walk data utilizing early lit tool indicates that K2 teachers observed were effectively implementing an SOR, a science of reading strategy, 73% of the time. So all the professional learning that they were getting, we actually saw it present in our classrooms as we walked through. And we're adopting a new curriculum. So I just want to name, those are some of the successes. Those are a lot of inputs and a lot of what we're seeing, but I'm just really excited for this work, and it's so important. And I want to make sure that we continue to keep the school committee up to date on all of our priorities. But this one is just like, for me, it's just so important, and we need to get this right. Not that it's more important than any of the other priorities, but those other priorities, this one will definitely support it. So very excited to share some of that data. We do have a ton of data at the end of the presentation. We're not going to go through those. It was included in your packet, but to respect your time, and I trust that if you have any questions, you'll ask them. But I am going to ask Rebecca and Caitlin to continue with the presentation.
Thank you. First, I just wanted to say I'm really happy to be here today and to meet everyone for the first time. I started my career in Holyoke, and to be back here serving in this capacity is just really great because it's such a wonderful community, and I'm happy to be a part of it in this capacity. And I'm really passionate about all things early literacy and dedicated to supporting our students, our families, our teachers, and our administrators to ensure that all of our students in the district become successful readers and writers. So thanks for having me here today. And thank you, Superintendent Soto, for sharing those celebrations. We're really excited about all of the good things happening in the realm of early literacy here at HPS. So I'm going to share, you all know that early literacy is one of our priorities. But here you can see the different strands of the priority, those 3 strands, and the benchmarks for the year. So that first strand has to do with ensuring that our students have access to a high quality curriculum. Also, it has to do with our teachers being empowered with deep early literacy knowledge. So all of our teachers in the district have that same foundation of learning. And in that they are aware and able to effectively implement science of reading aligned strategies. The second strand has to do with our instructional leaders providing direct coaching and support, because we know we can provide the professional learning, but we need to also couple that with the coaching and support so that it is a successful implementation of that new learning. And then our third strand has to do all with data systems, right? So that we are looking at the data to continuously monitor student progress in foundational reading skills. Slide, thank you. So now I'm going to highlight a little bit more in detail some of the work across the 3 strands. So the first priority, again, has to do with that deep early literacy content knowledge. And as Superintendent Soto mentioned, you all know we've partnered with Hill for Literacy, and we are at the end of, we're really excited that we're closing out year 2 of that partnership, and now the teachers who have been here for those full 2 years have engaged in all 10 modules. They've completed their coursework, and all along we've been seeing them start to implement, but now they're really going from the learning phase to fully the implementation phase. Which is exciting. And additionally, we have to think, we know retention is something of concern in our district, so we have to think about those new folks coming in who are here for the first year. How are they getting that same knowledge so that all of our teachers are on a level playing field and able to best support our students? So those folks coming in have engaged in asynchronous modules that goes through the same coursework, and then they have their coach at their school who's very knowledgeable and has gone through it all themselves, who's supporting that implementation in a differentiated pathway so that all of our educators, no matter when they're joining our district, are receiving the same basis of learning. Go to the next slide. So again, Superintendent Soto highlighted our walkthrough data for quarter 3, but again, we wanted to see how are these strategies being implemented in classrooms across our district, and we go on a walk and get a sample of that. And we're starting to see an increase in the effectiveness of the use of those science of reading aligned strategies. Teachers are becoming more comfortable with executing their learning and utilizing the feedback that they're getting from both their external Hill coach and their internal expert teacher, literacy coach, to improve their practice. And just to highlight again that quarter 3 win, that the data indicates that K-2 teachers that were observed were effectively implementing one of those strategies 73% of the time, which is on track to reach the benchmark for the year. So exciting implementation data to make note of. And then moving on to that second strand priority, again, we really believe this is the model of our coaching support, and just a graphic that kind of shows how it all comes together. But we found this model to be particularly effective because teachers receive the new learning. They get support from their internal coach with planning for implementation, like a co-planning session, trying it out amongst themselves, and then they actually receive coaching from that external Hill coach and their internal expert teacher, and that really supportive dual coaching method has helped our teachers to be really successful because they're taking the learning, they're getting support in planning, and they're getting implementation feedback and continuously improving their practice in that way. And then our final, if you want to move to the next slide, please. Our final strand has to do with, again, our data systems. And in terms of data systems in the teaching and learning cycle. Again, we want to analyze the data and respond to student learning needs. And one of the ways that we do this here in the district is with the DIBELS assessment. I'm not going to go into all the detail, but this slide offers you some more detail as to what the assessment includes. But it gives really specific data related to foundational skills and early literacy skills, and it gives teachers the knowledge to then implement those science of reading strategies, but with like a data-informed instructional focus. And then the last slide, just for reference, if you want to see when kind of each of those subtests is assessed at which grade levels, it could be a helpful visual for reference. But I'm going to now turn it over to Rebecca Thompson. She's going to discuss how early literacy is promoted in our dual language programming, as well as go over the curriculum review process.
If you wouldn't mind pausing for a question, Miss Wilson.
So, as someone who has done, benchmark assessments throughout the school year, I'm just wondering how the district now helps teachers manage that 3 times a year times 30 students, impacting getting the good data while not losing that instruction time. And I'm wondering, how is that done now?
Yeah, great question. I definitely think it's a school-based effort. We have really amazing expert teachers at each of our schools, and they're very organized and detail-oriented in creating kind of a schedule of testing, and it's all hands on deck, right? Expert teachers are taking students to take some of that lift so that teachers can maximize time on learning, as well as our reading interventionists. They test all of the students on their caseload one-on-one so that that percentage of whatever 25% of students is taken off teachers' plates as well. So it's definitely a group effort in making sure that we're getting good data from the testing, but we're not losing time on learning.
And then finally, I just want to at the school I was at, Donahue, they did a wonderful job having a resource for all the photocopies that are needed to collect the data. And I'm hoping our schools are doing that same thing, so teachers are not spending their time making photocopies of the note-taking data, and that there's a general place for them to go just grab anything that they need to jot down when they're doing a reading record or things like that. So I'm just making that general statement that I hope we're using our educators wisely and not standing behind photocopiers.
Yeah, and just if I can respond to that, the system is all digitized now. So there's an M-Class digitized platform, and then so all the recording is done digitally and calculated digitally, so you're not sitting around and calculating words per minute by hand.
Oh, when you know how to make a teacher happy.
Yes, and the resources as well come in a binder that students, they don't have to photocopy. They just use them over and over. So it's very low prep.
Thank you. On behalf of all the teachers, thank you.
Ms. Thompson, please continue.
Okay, thank you. We did not want to leave out our dual language classrooms and early literacy, and you've had a whole presentation from Associate Director of Dual Language, Laura Espinosa-Muffson. So I won't go into detail here, but I think it's important that when we're talking about early literacy, we're talking about early literacy in both Spanish and in English. So I just wanted to mention it here. She did put a slide together for us so that we could review that here, but she certainly speaks to it in more detail and has previously this year at a school committee meeting. But they use the Foundational Skills Program in our K-2 SLA classrooms based on authentic development of Spanish early literacy skills. Instead of DIBELS, they use ANEAL in our dual language programming as the assessment piece. They have professional development around Common Core standards in Spanish, just as we do for English, and around the priority foundational skills standards. There's coaching support, just like we have our expert teachers. We have the same for SLA in our dual language programming. We have the data system that monitors that, and a protocol for teachers to utilize that data, and just the promotion of cross-linguistic transfer of foundational literacy skills to English. So all of that is happening. I did not want to leave that out in the presentation on early literacy, but she certainly went into it in more depth when she was here. And then recently, there was a recommendation brought to me from 2 committees that we had running for K-2 curriculum. We have what's called a District Literacy Leadership Team, our DILT, that meets once a month. It's composed of K-2 teachers, expert teachers, interventionists from all across the district. There's representation from every elementary school present on our DILT committee. And we talk about a range of topics. A lot of it has to do with the Hill for Literacy and SOR implementation and how that's going and what problems are we running into and what successes are we having. And then we also have additional topics that we talk about during those meetings to support. And a good chunk of the time this year, the meetings have been spent on this curriculum review. And we also pulled together a dual language curriculum committee to go over a review of the K-2 curriculum in the dual language programming as well. Both of those committees recommended, they did a thorough analysis with the DESE protocol and rubric, but also the DILT committee used the Hill for Literacy rubric, which had to have had 50 different components for looking at all of the different aspects of how you acquire early literacy in K-2, and all of those different pieces. And so after a thorough review, they came to me and both made a recommendation to adopt HMH into reading, Arriba a la Lectura. Tomorrow in our Content Tuesdays, teachers will have their first overview, review, start to get familiar with some of the materials and some of the programming. And then this summer they will have professional learning. There are choices for either like the end of June or beginning of August, whatever more flexible, and they'll be compensated for that time to come in for training. For those that can't make it, we'll certainly also have professional learning that happens at the start of the school year. This is exciting in that, one, it will give us alignment with our 3 to 5 programming. So K-5 will have the same curriculum. Principals, expert teachers last year were saying, like, Rebecca, why aren't we doing this K-5? And my answer to them was, we knew we needed something urgently in grades 3 to 5. K-2 has different needs. We don't want to make a rash decision and move and jump into something new. We really want to pull committees together, make sure we're including ELD teachers, special educators, language programming, all of those pieces, and really give it a thoughtful go. And we weren't looking at all different. We were look at our current programming and utilize the rubric to see is it meeting the needs versus the HMH into reading. And it was a resounding, we want to shift to this. Our teachers are currently using multiple resources and having to pull, and they're teaching more than one content. So for just early literacy, they might have to pull from 4 or 5 different places, and this will help to streamline that and make it easier for planning. It'll also make it easier for new educators coming into the district, that they're not having to pull to meet all of these needs, that they have one resource to utilize. So we're excited about this. Our principals and expert teachers are certainly excited about this, and our teachers that were on the committee really have started to dig in, and some are even starting to pilot, I believe, because they were so excited. So thank you. Do you have any questions on this?
Anybody? Dr. Caballero?
Thank you so much for the presentation and the slideshow. I think this is an amazing job that needed to be done, I know, like last century. But I appreciated the fact that now teachers are doing meaningful professional development, something that it is theory but can be applied immediately, and it's like sort of like an increase in literacy, apparently 50% almost, from 22 to almost 41. I appreciate that so much. The children need them, and as Mr. Soto said, that's the foundation. If we're not taking care of that, well, what are we going to expect for the rest of the building and the knowledge and the students? Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Ms. Tinsley Williams?
All I want to say is there was a lot of work that went into this. I had a lot of reading to do this weekend. Thank you so much. This took time and talent to do, and we really appreciate everything you guys do. Okay? Thank you so much.
Ms. Wilson?
So according to our policy IGD, curriculum adoption, the school committee itself will consider and officially adopt new programs and courses when they constitute an extensive alteration to instructional content or approach. I believe this meets that. So I was wondering, I would like to make a motion that we adopt the new curriculum as a school committee.
keeping in mind that it's just for kumbaya purposes.
Practice makes perfect.
Can I have a second on the motion? Seconded by Ms. Tensley Williams. Any further discussion, Mr. Kennedy?
I was wondering if I could ask 2 questions and make my discussion then before we.
If your questions are not related to the motion specifically, I will come back to you for your questions. If they're related to the motion specifically, you may ask them now.
Okay, then I'll just make my comment about the curriculum. If this curriculum is, if the format of this curriculum is anything like what we have in the high schools, which I believe was mentioned, I do not believe that this curriculum is going to be efficient in teaching our students. I have been one of those students who have been very against the curriculum that is in our high schools right now, because I just don't feel as though I'm being benefited from learning it. Even the expert teaching teams, like the coaching, I do not believe is benefiting anyone. Matter of fact, I think it's actually doing damage to our students and to our staff. I think that, yes, it looks great on paper, and I do appreciate the work that you guys are doing, but I feel as though I'm one of those students that have been failed by the system, and I know that there are a lot of students in there who have. This is obviously much different for students younger, maybe, but if it's anything like the curriculum that we have in high schools, that we have even in my middle school, then this is not a curriculum that I feel as though is beneficial for our students, and I, as a student who, again, feels as though I've been failed by this curriculum numerous times, I think that it would be a mistake to implement it into our schools. I mean, obviously, I don't know if if you guys really have a say in that, but that is my opinion, and I have my questions after, but you can come back to me.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Collmore?
Yeah. Could someone tell me, has this gone to subcommittee? Yeah.
It has not, but it does not have to.
I know it doesn't have to. I agree, doesn't have to. But I really think that it should go to curriculum subcommittee for review first, then being brought back.
So we don't have a curriculum subcommittee? Specifically for curriculum. And the district itself has already adopted this, so this is already happening. So us approving it is just for, like, we can approve or not approve it, it's still happening. So, if you'd like to refer to subcommittee, you're welcome to, but we don't have a curriculum subcommittee.
No, continue. I just want to get the explanation.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Willingham, was your hand up? Yes.
When you say this is just for kumbaya, what does that mean?
Well, I just mean that for all intent and purposes, the board does not have voting rights to adopt an approved procedure or policy at the current time under receivership. So, the receiver can, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, can do what he wants. So if we want to take a vote and to support the decision, we can. But we have no say on whether or not this is the curriculum that's adopted currently. All right. So we did have a second on the motion, so we'll take a roll call whether or not the school committee would like to vote to show our support for the curriculum adoption. Mr. Garcia? I think he has signed off. I don't see Mayor Garcia. I myself am a yes. Ms. LaFave?
No.
Ms. Tinsley Williams?
Certain. Yes.
Dr. Caballero?
Going to abstain. Need to think
Mr.
about it.
Mr. Wilhan?
No.
Mr. Collmore?
No.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Romero?
I'll do yes.
Okay, so I think it passes then. Yes, passes. Okay, so the motion passes. The school committee has officially endorsed the policy or the curriculum adoption. Okay, thank you, ladies. Appreciate your presentation. Did you want to add anything?
No, I'll just be quick. I know the state's actually trying to pass some legislation around early literacy, and I just want to name that, like, we are ahead of the game because of the great work that this team is doing. Essentially, what they're trying to do is to get other districts to do what we're doing. In terms of making sure you're selecting high quality instructional materials and curriculum, making sure that there's really good implementation and professional development, and that you have data systems in place. There's a lot more to it, but I can tell you from everything that I've heard from experts in this area, like, we are well ahead of the game. So when this new law passes and this initiative passes, like, Holyoke is just going to be able to continue to do what we're doing because we started this process a couple of years ago. So it's something to be really proud of.
And Mr. Kennedy, you had a question before we move on?
Yes. Who specifically, is it like people from this area, like from this district, from people from your office, who created this curriculum? Or like the curriculum, specific curriculum?
It's HMH. Houghton Mifflin is the name of the company that does it. So one of the great things about, I'm not going to say the great things, but we went through a process, and the DESE goes through a process to vet all different curriculum and kind of rate whether or not it's high quality, and this is on their list of curriculum materials. So I apologize that, I don't know what specific curriculum you're referring to, but this is new, and this is part of the reason. Like, what we've been using has not been leading to better outcomes. This is going to help us get kids to a better place by the time they're reading, hopefully by third grade, and it'll just change the trajectory of their learning. We've also adopted new curriculum this year in grades 3 to 5 around ELA, so I'm not sure specifically what curriculum you think is not high quality and is doing damage to kids, but I think a lot of experts have looked at this curriculum and believe it's high quality. A lot of it is in how you implement it and how you support it and how you're giving teachers the right professional development and support, and I know this team is dedicated to making sure that's happening.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, but I would also like to point out some of my observations. And on teacher development, like here at my school, I have observed something of two different groups of teachers, one of which who follow everything that the expert teachers give them and everything that the district wants from them to a T, and students don't feel as though they're learning in their classes. And I know that's what the district wants, because those are the teachers with excellent evaluations when the district comes to evaluate them. And then we have teachers who get quite awful evaluations, which is very unfair, because those are the teachers who are teaching in their classrooms, right? They're teaching their own way, and it's not a way the district likes it, but those students are learning, right? And like, that's kind of like me, for example, in my math class, I have a hard time learning from one specific math teacher. So I go to a different math teacher for support, because one math teacher follows exactly how the district wants them to, and I don't feel as though I'm learning. Also, in this district, I've pointed this out numerous times, teachers don't often have control over how they teach, right? That's what it feels like to students, and that's what it feels like to teachers. That's what it feels like to teachers. And maybe that's not what the vision or the expectation is on the district level. I'm not saying you're intentionally controlling every aspect of teachers' teaching, but that is what it feels like. And these expert teachers often don't know what it takes to teach a classroom, and every single classroom is different. Like, to me, this curriculum that like we have now feels like is being standardized, and that is just like that is not how learning works, right? And I understand that's like, you need a baseline in every school. You need a baseline of how things are going to go, but also not giving teachers the freedom of teaching in their own way is damaging to the students. And I just went on a huge rant. I'm sorry, but that's my point. So,
You're fine.
I mean, we can go into more detail about this privately, or I'm sure I will be
Happy to talk.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be hearing about it tomorrow. So,
Mr. Kennedy, thank you for your insight as always. Dr. Caballero?
No, the curriculum is from K to 5, right? 5th grade. The early literacy. Right, right. And we have seen quantitative and qualitative, data that shows that it's working, something that we needed. Taking a vote on let us adopt it, as a curriculum to me was, sounded very premature. That something that was needed to be done. When, from my point of view, I would I would be very glad and happy to just study it. But it doesn't mean that I'm rejecting everything that this curriculum has accomplished. No, to the contrary. I want to read more. I want to do more of my homework, But it's showing that at least from K to 5 to 5th grade, right? It's working. We have the data. And it'd be great if teachers who are doing it, presenting it, studying, and doing all the professional development, were here also to support the results that they have been obtaining. And that's why I abstain, because I would really like to read more and learn more about it. Yeah.
Ms. Tinsley Williams, and then Ms. LaFave.
Mr. Kennedy, you're saying that, excuse me, the coaches sticking right to it. Never mind, but some of the teachers are kind of relaxed and kind of like down to earth with the students, helping them to learn. Is that what you're saying? They just protocol and just sticking with it? That what you say?
What I was saying was that some teachers, let me clarify, I'm not throwing any shade to these teachers because they're doing exactly what they're expected to do by their superiors. Some teachers stick directly to the curriculum that is handed down to them by their coaches, from their principal, from the district offices. And then some teachers strongly disagree with that curriculum, so they do it their own way, and as a result, they get poorly evaluated when administration comes in to evaluate them. And I find that to be unfair because those are the teachers that a lot of students are learning from. So I hope that helped.
Ms. LaFave.
Thank you. So, as for me, not an educator, I'm a nurse. So, for me, I'd have to physically see to say that I would agree that that is something that's going to help our students. And again, it's about consistency and making sure that it's done straight across the board in all schools, because one of the things that we did here when we went into receivership was provide a lot of autonomy. So now different schools are doing different things, and that's where this whole confusion comes to. So I guess it's for me to see it being done, and hopefully maybe, as you said, some classes are piloting it when we do our walkthrough. Maybe that's something that we might observe. I might notice it and, whatever. But then now I'm going to shift to Evan, and I want to make this very clear. Don't you ever feel sorry for what you say, okay? My vision of a student rep is one that is going to sit here and be part of this committee and tell us what's wrong and what's right. Not somebody to tell me when the bake sale is happening. Okay? So don't you ever feel sorry for anything that you say, because you know what? We are here for you guys. We are here to move our students forward and to help them succeed. So don't worry if somebody's giving you the look like, oh, you're in trouble tomorrow. Don't worry about that. You continue doing what you've got to do, because you're here as the representative for the students. They put you there for a reason, okay? So feel proud of what you say, because you know what? That when I hear from you and what I'm listening from both of you guys, right, is what I'm thinking is going to drive my decision, because my decision is for the benefit of you. And like I said, I've got to see it. He's given me an example. I could have jumped real quick and not even heard from him, been, yeah, great, no problem. And he may have been sitting there saying, should I say something? I don't want him to ever feel like that, because our decisions are for the benefit of our students. Thank you so much, Mr. Kennedy.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate you. All right, moving right along under new business, Ms. LaFave asks that I bring this to the committee's attention. There are some expiring resolutions from MASC. You can go on their website and look at the list of resolutions, and if you'd like to see one be refocused on, I will let Ms. LaFave tell you what you could do from there.
Okay, so really quickly, we moved into where we can't keep having like a list of 100 items and to go and advocate for, right? So we got to kind of streamline. So resolutions are brought up to the delegate assembly. Obviously, the delegate assembly says yes or no, and then that's what MASC is going to be advocating for and going to be pushing for legislation. With that being said, we moved to a 3-year model. These are things that we're really going to focus on, right? And this is what MASC is going to be backing up. So there are 17 resolutions that will be expiring in November 2024. If any of these resolutions, I'm just going to name it, that Holyoke wants to adopt, I've got to know by the next meeting, because June 1st is the last day for any resolution that you may want to put in as a committee. Say you want your very own resolution and create one. It is also, if you want to have this one move forward again. So it'll be, like the Holyoke Public School Committee is adopting, like for one, it was something Aaron always talks about, recess. That's in here. That's one of the expiring ones. So you can review the resolutions. You can amend and create your own and then submit by June 1st again. So the ones that are expiring that we still haven't accomplished is pertaining to educator diversity and professional licensure, full funding of transportation costs for students in foster care, universal quality pre-K access in Massachusetts, access to menstrual supplies, charter school reform, lowering the voting age for municipal elections, retention of Medicaid revenue, dedicated funding for school-based clinics and services, IDEA Full Funding Act, recess, alternative to MCAS, prohibiting the use of Native American mascots. What's still ongoing but hasn't been fully met is climate change, poverty in children, and school committee anti-racism. And what's been partially met but is expiring is school transportation and homework gap and Wi-Fi internet access. So, next meeting, if you guys review this on the MASC website, think if this is something that really resonates with the Holyoke School Committee, then that's something that we can take a vote on to adopt and move forward to the delegate assembly, to the resolutions committee, and then the delegate assembly.
Thank you, Ms. LaFave. Ms. Tinsley Williams?
Can we talk about this at the retreat? Make a decision because we have to have time. Cannot.
Nope. You guys should review them on your own and bring any recommendations to me as the chair to add to the next agenda.
Okay.
Which is 528. Okay. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. You guys gotta forgive my eyesight today. This was kind of tied into the vice chair report, also suggested by Ms. LaFave that we develop school committee goals. I feel like as a committee we are, with all the work we're doing with local control. That's pretty much what we're going through, step by step. And then we have overarching outlines for how our, the schedule of our meetings run. But at the retreat, I had mentioned one of the main goals is getting procedures and policies done. But that being said, if anybody has anything else they'd like to see as an overarching goal of the committee, please bring it to my attention. And it'll be something that we can work on as a committee, or if anybody has any suggestions now. If not, we'll move on. K-2 curriculum was covered under the superintendent vice chair report. Ms. Williams, you're good, right? Oh, Wilson, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure you're good because she put it under new business too, K2 curriculum, and you're the one who wanted a report, so I just wanted to confirm. Okay, good to go. This is just as an FYI. Attached is the program and course study for both high school campuses for next year. If anybody has any questions, feel free to stop me, but that's just attached as an FYI. Ongoing business, I'd like a motion to approve as a package. School committee meeting minutes, the revised minutes from the 226 meeting. And then we have meeting minutes from 325, 4/8, and 4/23.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you. The motion on the floor is to approve as a package, seconded by Mr. Collmore. Roll call. Mayor Garcia is not with us. I myself, Ms. Brunella, am a yes. Ms. LaFave?
Yes.
Mr. Romero?
Yes.
Ms. Tensley Williams?
See.
Dr. Caballero?
Yes.
Mr. Willihan?
Yes.
Mr. Collmore?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Motion passes. Updates from subcommittees. Policy committee will be held on May 20th from at 6 p.m. at 57 Suffolk Street. Ms. Wilson, did you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'll be getting the agenda out later this week.
Okay, thank you. And as she mentioned earlier, policy was discussed at the local control meeting. You'll have the minutes from that next week.
Actually, and I'm going to share out what I wrote up so everyone's aware of what I spoke to at the
Great,
meeting.
the summary?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Finance Operations Subcommittee, Mr. Willihan, meeting was held on the 6th.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a meeting on May 6th. We had full attendance. Our finance director was in attendance. Sort of led us through the agenda, which is presentations. So we had a 2024 budget update, 2025 budget proposal. Had a facilities update. I don't think that's the first one that we've had. Mr. Calmer has been calling for that in my ear for years. Okay, so we finally had that. So we basically reviewed a lot of the facilities that have been updated through the ESSER funding in terms of boilers, playgrounds, etc. So there'll be a spreadsheet that'll be presented to the full committee moving forward. Couple data points just to bring up. I know the current budget, there's a couple budget busters in terms of transportation and special education costs. I don't know if Mr. Soto wants to chime in on those real quick in terms of
I
district.
think we'll cover that at the May 28th
Okay.
meeting.
All right, so that was concerning to the committee. I'm speaking on their behalf at this point. So we're gonna have going forward the full budget presentation for FY 25. That'll be held on May 28th at our next meeting. So Sean will be here, right? Correct. Lead us through the budget. And we're gonna have our the budget hearing on June 10th. So that'll be the full hearing. Okay. We approved our minutes from the March 8th meeting, so I'll have those included. I tried getting them included for tonight, so I'll have those included at our for our next meeting for the full approval of the committee.
Thank you. And just to note, with the local control meetings happening 5 to 6, we'll do the budget hearing at 6, and the school committee meeting will officially begin at 6:10-ish. Will be the time posted, because we can't do 5:45 and 6, because, local control subcommittee meeting. So just point of note, Mr. Willian.
So the full committee will start at 6.
10.
10,
It's immediately
6:10,
following, but you
6:15.
have to post a time and then wait till it's 6:15. We'll be sitting here
That was recommended.
doing nothing, so probably 6:10.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have your hand up?
Yes.
Oh, I apologize.
No, no,
Please
no,
proceed.
I just did my hand. So I continue with the same question: is the budget supporting the affordable connectivity program for our families? Is that part of the conversation?
Yeah,
The program is the one that allows our students and families to connect to internet, and I would like to know if that is still, if that is part of the plan of the budget.
It is not, and it, basically Comcast doesn't work that way. They have, wherever they set up internet, that's the resident, and the contract agreement is between the resident and Comcast. They wouldn't allow like a third party to put it under their name or anything like that. So, that's just not something that we haven't been doing that actually since after we came back to in-person learning.
You know where that conversation might come in handy is with the mayor and our host agreement with Comcast. And then just to point out too, I did get an email from somebody at Comcast when you brought this up before. And it just basically says connectivity is at the core of Comcast and consistently defining what that means. They've recently increased internet speeds in Massachusetts, providing extra boost to customers who subscribe to Connect More, fast, and prepaid products at no additional cost, with the possibility of the Affordable Connectivity Program sunsetting as soon as May. We want to focus on boosting speeds to ensure those who may be affected by the end of the ACP can continue to stream live sports, play the latest video games, and take full advantage of data-rich applications, all with fast, affordable, reliable internet options. The speed increases rolling out are made possible by Comcast fiber-based network, which is built to deliver an exceptional, and I'll forward this to you. So it looks like they've tried to do some things at Comcast to help offset that.
This is part of the conversation of the digital equity groups, and it's a combined group, Holyoke and Springfield, and I'm a member of that. And the conversation keeps coming up to please support, at least rally as a school committee, for families.
Might I suggest that you make a motion to refer that subject to a subcommittee, like maybe DEI, to have more conversation along it, and try to come up with some kind of actionable items?
Yes, I make a motion to that.
Great.
To bring that point. Yeah.
I heard Ms. Wilson on the second, so thank you. So the motion on the floor is to refer to DEI, the Comcast connectability research. All right, roll call. We do not have Mr. Garcia. I myself am a yes. Ms. LaFave?
Yes.
Mr. Romero?
Yes.
Ms. Tinsley Williams?
See.
Dr. Caballero?
Yes.
Mr. Wilhan?
Yes.
Mr. Collimore?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Moving right along. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. She is not with us this evening. Local control subcommittee meeting was held April 23rd and May 13th. I know they have one scheduled for June, so I'll turn it over to Ms. LaFave.
You passed the joint city council, and I know that was
That's the
yours.
one I was literally just saying, but I think I called it local control. I apologize. I am literally talking about joint city council school committee. I'm telling you, I need to not ever forget my glasses again. My apologies.
Yeah, we do have our meeting scheduled, but so now there's a talk about the renaming of PEC.
It's coming up next.
No, that's your draft. But were you on that email? Is
So,
that something
the
that you
draft,
guys are
the
going to refer?
The reason this is back on the agenda is so that way we can refer it to the joint committee. So, according to the city charter, city council has final say in the naming of a municipal building. So, in conversations, Mayor Garcia has already gotten legal's opinion on this and they agree. So, what we thought would be a good idea and why this is back on the agenda is to refer this to the joint committee, present it to the city council, and basically get their blessing on our plan because we don't want to go through all the work and then have them deny the name change. So we want their blessing in advance that they agree with our plan and the work we're going to put forward, and ultimately will agree with how we decide at the end. And if they're not going to, then we won't do all that work, right? So that is why the draft plan, with a minor edit from a conversation with myself, Dr. Rivera Colon, and Miss Linville, is back on the agenda. So that way we can entertain a motion to refer it to the joint committee, because it was brought to our attention by a city councilor that they have the right to yay or nay. Thank you, Mr. Collmore. Thank you, Dr. Caballero. Any further discussion on that motion? Mr. Willihan.
Thank you. What did we approve at our last meeting? It was just like a working draft.
Right.
Wasn't
So
it?
we approved
So
the
we haven't approved anything, right? In theory, right?
we approved a draft plan
Okay.
that DEI created on how they would go about the outreach to discuss the potential renaming. There is no name yet, but we just figure rather than go through all that process to come up with a name to then have city council deny it, let's go to city council now, have them give their blessings of the process, which is saying in good faith, we'll agree with your decision at the end of the process, right? In theory is what we're looking for from city council at this time.
I mean, the draft that I have right now in front of me, school naming plan, updated May 6th. So the bullet on the first page, school colors and mascot will be decided by the school. I know we talked about that. And then on the next page, another bullet, decision on name, school colors, and mascot must be made by November 24th. November of 2024. So it's contradicting each other. So again, is this a working plan? Is it a finalized plan? Is this up in the web? What's going on with this?
So the plan-
Again, our chairman isn't here, so we're just discussing something with our chairman not here, so.
Yeah, so the
I don't like
plan
that.
was approved by DEI and then brought to the school committee at our last meeting, which we approved. However, then it was discussed with Miss Linville, and she's the one who threw in that date because of ordering signage and things like that for the school.
How am I supposed to know that? Okay.
Yep. Miss LaFave.
So the motion is to refer it to the joint city
committee.
council. So that's all we're talking about right now. We're not even talking about the draft plan. So, can we move with the vote?
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call. Mayor Garcia is not with us. I am a yes. Miss LaFave.
Yes.
Mr. Romero.
Yes.
Miss Tensley Williams.
Yes.
Dr. Caballero.
Yes.
Mr. Willihan.
Yes.
Mr. Collmore.
Yes.
Miss Wilson.
Yes.
And God bless you.
Bless you.
Okay. Did you have any other updates, Miss LaFave?
Nope, I'm emailing them now so we can get this onto the agenda for June 13th.
Okay, thank you. Now, in regards to local control, we had a meeting tonight. We did approve 2 sets of minutes that will be included in the next agenda. The next meeting is on the 28th, and it's regarding stakeholders and local collaboration. Okay, then you have a bunch of FYIs. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Willihan.
So who is on the joint committee from this body?
Miss LaFave.
It is going to be you, Mr. Wellahan. Okay. It is Mr. Collmore. It's Miss Tensley Williams and myself.
There's 4.
4.
Shouldn't there be 3? I think the council has three members.
So again, this is another reason why we need to go through section B of policy, because in that it states that subcommittees have 4 members. So the reason this one has 4 is because I accidentally had somebody on too many and needed to move some people around, and somebody asked me specifically to be on that committee. So again, according to our governance policy, our subcommittees are supposed to have 4, and we've only have 3 on most. Local control has 4 because the commissioner requested that I'm on that one.
You have an unbalanced committee. So you got three members of the city council, and you got 4 members of the schools. That
Well, then we win
unbalanced
the vote.
committee.
Yeah, maybe the city council wants to add one. It's something that
I
can
like
be
that.
reviewed. But again, this is why we need to review our policies to set how many are on each one. We have some with 4 and some with 3. And I think city council does too. They have more on finance than they do on others. So, okay, moving on. Okay. There's a lot of FYIs attached to your agenda. Attendance, chronic absenteeism, referral, discipline, staffing update, middle school building update. We have a meeting Thursday. Administration assistant position. I do have one application I need to review and get back to Shannon to see if we want to call the person in for an interview. Out-of-state field trip. Sullivan School is going to the Bronx Zoo. Holyoke High School Dean is going to Brownstone. STEM is going to Washington, D.C. And another section of STEM, I assume, is going to CT Science Center. And student activity approval. Any comments on any of those FYIs? Saying Ms. LaFave.
So funding wise, did they already find out where they're going to get the funding? Like the Bronx Zoo, $71, but it says that's to be determined. Or
Yeah, there's everything is funded.
Okay.
These are simply put on the school committee agenda because I believe one of the policies is that out-of-state field trips are approved by the school committee. So I started to get in the habit of sharing those with you guys last year, and I'm going to continue that. But we did give mid-year allocations. We allocated about $2 million to schools in the middle of the year. We announced it right around the holidays and asked, part of our charge to principals was like create some cool experiences for kids. And a lot of them are using that funding to do field trips and still teaching kids how to fundraise and things like that. But a lot of it is covered out of our existing budget that principals.
Great. I just want to make sure nobody loses the opportunity of going because they didn't have the funds.
Mr. Collmore?
I'm reviewing these travel and the nurse isn't covered.
Yeah, the nurse is covered whenever there's a need for a nurse. So if we have a student that requires a nurse to be there, we make accommodations for that to happen. And when there's not, then we don't need the nurse.
All right, as long as it's clear that the nurse doesn't have to pay anything, it's part of her duties and responsibilities.
Yeah, that wouldn't
and
happen.
She gets paid for it.
That wouldn't happen. We'd have a hard time finding a nurse to participate in field trips if we were charging them to go.
All right, announcements. All right, any member that would like to be a part of the committees for MASC or MIAA for the upcoming year, please submit their interest to not me, but Mildred. No later than June 1, which is coming up for consideration. All committees are listed on the MASC website, for example, special education, legislation, etc. Mildred, did you want to add anything to that?
And resolutions committee. So I know the resolutions committee will be meeting on June 27th in Marlboro, 6 p.m. That's when this committee will go through, review the resolutions that have been submitted by the districts, if anything needs to be changed, and then vote on moving it to delegate assembly. So if you're interested, that's also part of one of the positions, if you'd like to be appointed to, that I would need you to let me know your interest. Also, MIAA. Mr. Collmore, I know you're always on me that you want to keep being on the volleyball, but letter of intent to continue on the volleyball so that you can be appointed for the MIAA positions, because it restarts in June.
And Glenn has been informed, and he said it's all clear.
It's to the president. You gotta do it. Send your letter of interest to the president. So last year was Stacy. This year it's me. Next year is Jason Frazier. So every year you have to submit the book that you get in the mail. You have to send that in. Okay?
All right, announcements. continuing DPAC meeting May 14 at 6 p.m. Middle school building committee, as I mentioned, is this Thursday at 6 p.m. CPAC or SEPAC, sorry, meeting May 22nd. You guys have all these: affinity group, local control subcommittee, whole school committee, attendance celebration, Hoyoke High Dean graduation, Hoyoke High North Campus graduation. By the way, Ms. Kabbalah has sent an email. She needs head counts for graduation because you guys get not you guys, but we get gowns and have chairs, placed for us. So please let me know if you can't. Let Ms. Kabbalah know if you're planning to attend both graduations.
Let her know the first. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, that's all I've got. Mr. Willihan.
Thank you. There's a Memorial Day ceremony at the War Memorial Building on Monday, May 27th. I don't think I've been officially invited, but I know there's a ceremony we're all welcome to participate along with the city council. So if you want to go to that, the ceremony starts at 10 o'clock. I think there's coffee and donuts maybe at 9. So if anyone's interested, you just got to show up there at the War Memorial Building. I know there's a third graduation in June for the Opportunity Academy. It's a Friday, June 14th. It's probably not why it's on this agenda. 10 o'clock at the War Memorial Building, right, Mr. Soto? Or Memorial Building. Okay, just letting you know. Memorial Day is the first thing I mentioned. Okay, thank you.
Miss Wilson? Oh, Miss LaFave.
Motion to adjourn.
That was good. That was my motion. Second.
Motion to adjourn made by Miss LaFave, seconded by Miss Tinsley Williams. No further discussion on the motion. Roll call. Mayor Garcia is not with us. Miss Brunel is a yes. Miss LaFave?
Yes.
Mr. Romero?
Yes.
Miss Tinsley Williams?
See.
Dr. Caballero?
See.
Mr. Willihan?
Yes.
Mr. Collmore?
Yes.
Miss Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you all. Meeting is officially adjourned at 8:13 p.m. Have a good night.